Welcome home, neighbors.
Welcome home, neighbors.
Hello, neighbors.
We're listening from
Arizona,
Florida,
Maryland, New York,
New Jersey,
Minneapolis,
California,
Utah,
Michigan,
Iowa,
Massachusetts,
Georgia,
Canada,
our home resort is
Animal Kingdom,
Polynesian,
Bay Lake Tower,
Old Key West,
Riviera,
Boardwalk,
Alani Resort,
Hilton Head, Boulder Ridge, Copper Creek,
Grand Floridian,
Saratoga Springs,
Beach Club,
and Wilderness Lodge.
and you're listening to
You're listening
you're listening
to my
DVC Points.
Well, welcome everybody to My DVC Points Community Hall Live. I'm Marianne, and I'm so glad you joined us tonight to talk about navigating Disney with special needs. Hey, and you know what? Out of all the vacation destinations, I think Disney overall does navigating with special needs really, really well. And what's a really great way to save money if you are going to be going to Disney again and again and again? Call our friends at DVC Resale Market. They'll be happy to help you understand how to buy into this really cool club we all belong to called DVC. Hey, do you need a few more points? Do you need another resort option for your home resort options so you have more than one? The people at DVC Resale Market, they're great and they're going to be happy to help you make that happen. And then I'm going to start out tonight's show with a new segment we're going to call our e-ticket event sharing time. And our first person who went to a kind of cool e-ticket event today is Gina. Gina, can you join us?
I'm here. Hi.
Gina, what cool e-ticket event could you have possibly gone to today at Disneyland looking as cute as you are?
Well, it is the Dapper Day Expo at Disneyland Resort. And the way that the Disneyland Resort operates their Dapper Day is it's a huge event, and they actually rent out the hotel space there. You can see the little doorway to the hotel. They rent out the hotel space, and they make a whole huge expo hall. So you can shop around, take photos. And so my friends and I did that. And it was $19 to get in. And then you shop around. They have drinks, they have water. So you can walk around with your cocktail if you want. And they have a band playing. So it's super fun. So there's my friend. There's one of the photo ops at one of the booths. And it's a great time. I highly recommend if you're in the Disneyland area in November and April that you hit up the Dapper Day Expo. And that's it.
That's cool. Gina, hey, when you paid your $19, did you happen to get a DVC discount?
No, because this is a separate corporate. This is like a separate deal. They just
Okay.
rent out the space. Yeah.
I was just curious if there was any special DVC. Sometimes there are, sometimes they're not. But
Not for this.
hey, sometimes being a DVC member helps you
Get
be able
in.
to stay or get in for those
Yeah,
kinds of things.
Exactly.
So sounds like it was a fun event.
It was.
And hey, people in our community, if you go to a special event or a special DVC tour or something that's offered by DVC, that's a membership extra perk, write into us and let us know because we want to talk to you and hear more about those events so we can share them out with our community. That'll be
Definitely.
great.
All right. Bye.
Thanks, Gina. Bye-bye. And now we're going to bring up my friends. Let's start with my friends, Amy and Derrick.
Hi, Marianne.
Hi, guys. I'm so glad you could join me. Tell me, when you travel to Disney, what is special about your family? What needs do you have?
Well, with our family, my mother is very limited mobility. She can get in and out of rides, but she's got to have a scooter for any kind of long distance at all. And Amy also uses a scooter for the long distances.
Okay.
I could probably do one day walking, but I would be so miserable afterward. It would take me 3 days to recover. So I've just been getting a scooter and enjoying my time.
Good for you. Hey, let's talk to our friend Cindi. Cindi, come on up and join us. Hi, Cindi. Cindi, tell me what's special about your family and why you might need to navigate Disney a little differently.
So my husband is in a wheelchair full time. So we need that accessibility, be able to get on the buses. And also we generally get the roll-in shower. We've had to navigate the different room types. So he's full-time. And we've had a couple people ask, is that your personal chair? Yeah, it's blue. It's how it is.
That's awesome. And my last friend to join me is Caleb. Hi, Caleb.
Hi, everybody.
I'm so glad to have you here. And Caleb, how do you guys navigate Disney, and what special need are we accommodating for you all?
Well, so probably the one that's the most prominent that we're needing accommodations would be my son has a sensory processing disorder, and so we're trying to navigate the parks whenever he gets overloaded, whenever with everything coming at him. So we're always trying to figure out like where is it that we'd be able to best accommodate him and best be able to enjoy ourselves as a family. Also, like I have a kind of an invisible disease that kind of makes me have to use the restroom more often than normal. And so like that's another accommodation that usually Disney is doing a great job to be able to help me to be able to enjoy the parks.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to go through some different topics tonight. Y'all are going to share with me how Disney does well and how maybe Disney could improve tonight. So we will start out talking about our DVC resorts. We all love our DVC and our DVC resorts. All of us are big fans of DVC. How does DVC do for Derrick and Amy's family?
Well, it's been great for us so far. Even before we were DVC, we did rent some DVC rooms just to check them out, and they are the space available is really nice for us. With 2 scooters with our family, we definitely need at least a 1-bedroom. We try to get a 2-bedroom if we can afford the points, but that extra space is really nice to have. We don't necessarily have to have the accessible rooms, but we usually try to book them just because they're usually laid out a little bit differently. They usually have like not an island in the kitchen. They usually have a little bit more move around space. So that's been really nice. So far, we have not had to deal with any of the resorts that don't have elevators in every room. We try to make sure or in every building, I guess, we try to make sure that we have an elevator, so we're not limited on the floor that we can stay in. So, anything you would add?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. Yeah, one nice thing about we stayed at Jumbo this last spring break, and instead of that big island in the middle of the kitchen, that was a completely open area. So there was so much extra room. One other thing I've also seen is that the accessible rooms tend to have bigger entryways and bigger hallways so that a scooter or wheelchair can get in easier. It's not quite as tight.
Excellent.
There have been a couple of times where if it is a little tighter, we just leave the scooter in the hallway, and there's usually an outlet out there so we can just charge it overnight.
Cool. Cool. And nobody's taken off and joyrided with your scooter.
No, you keep it with you all the time, so nobody can access it.
Great. Hey, Cindi, tell me about what your experiences are in the different DVC resorts.
Yeah, so accessibility has been a huge thing for us. That's what helped make my husband so comfortable going there, having the buses. And so we haven't had the bad luck to stay at a place without an elevator. The downside, sometimes going down the hallways in the wheelchair with the carpeting can be really difficult for my husband to push. It's interesting. One of the things you don't think about is the carpeting makes it really hard. And then some of the showers, because we always do the roll-in because that's easier for my husband to just transfer over. They always have a shower seat, and we've done a couple of times. We've done the tub. We've had to do that at Riviera, and because we've had that little tower room, and they give you a seat, and it kind of hangs out a little bit. But There we go. So here is our poly room, and here is my husband trying to access the that's the fold down seat that you generally get. In this case, you couldn't access the shampoo and such. So we were only there for a couple of nights, so he was okay. So yeah, that's some of the downside.
Somebody didn't think. Somebody didn't think. They put the water handle on the right side.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of silly. So, and that has to be not that hard of a fix either, you would think. So,
no.
Goodness.
No. Yeah.
So, and anything else you wanted to share, Cindi?
Some of the doors, like Saratoga is the only one that we've seen it, but the door has a timer, a push button with a timer, so it opens. We've stayed there twice and had the same exact room, so I don't know if it's just that recent refurb, but it opens, so it makes it really easy for my husband to get in, but it also stays open for a while. So you got to take that into consideration whenever anyone opens or closes the door.
In other words, you yell something about, I'm opening the door!
Exactly!
So
Make
that
sure
you don't catch
you're away from the door.
You don't catch somebody in the half nakeds. Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh my. Well, Caleb, tell us about DVC Resorts and your family.
Yeah, so since our disabilities aren't really related to mobility, some of the things that we're looking for in our DVC resorts is mostly about bathroom space, and also about being able to have maybe some kind of quiet area, some kind of secluded area to put my son's bed into. We travel with a inflatable crib. He's 4 years old, so he fits fine. When he gets older, we'll figure that out at that time. But so the places with split baths, like at Poly, at Riviera, at Grand Flow, we usually place him in the area wherever the commode isn't at. And so it's an interior area and allows him to kind of not have any light coming in. It kind of shelters from a lot of the noise as well. There's other places too that, like the dreaded, like 17,000 doors in the one bedrooms over at Saratoga, and let's see, what Beach Club, Boardwalk, they all kind of
Boardwalk's
share
got that too. Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually like a good thing for us, because we can place him where the tub is and still have access to the shower and the commode area. And then let's see, over at what's not good is the Animal Kingdom. Neither of the Animal Kingdom, Jumbo or over at Kidani, is it very good as far as the one bedroom goes. The studio. I haven't stayed in the 2-bedroom, but it would just be the studio and the 1 bedroom together, so it wouldn't be very good. There's no real place to kind of like shut him off in any area. But over at I know at Bay Lake Tower, that the laundry area, that's one place that you'd be able to kind of place him in, because it's got a nice big laundry area, and we place his crib in that area. Now it does cut off access to being able to.
Old Key West too.
Yes, Old Key West, I think,
dedicated
has
laundry room at Old Key West.
Yeah, so some of those places are really nice to be able to kind of give him a secluded spot to kind of be like his little miniature room. And it also allows us to kind of like not be held prisoner by him whenever he's needing to kind of like desensitize from some of the things that have been going on. So that's kind of like where we kind of land. A little bit also, like I said, Copper Creek has also in their 1 bedroom, they've got their bathtub area is in its own separate area. So we're able to place them there. But some other places, especially for me, Copper Creek is a great one that, like, if the bathroom is being occupied, I can zip down to the outdoor bathrooms that are right there by Geyser Point, and able to access them. And if I'm closer to the lobby, then I can get out and go to the lobby fairly quickly. So that's kind of nice for me. Staying in Old Key West, like at the Turtle Pond area, being able to get out to the pool there is nice for me and my bathroom needs as well.
Excellent. All right. Let's see if anybody in our community has anything to say about this one. Evelyn, make sure that you book out 11 months in advance. The number of accessible rooms is limited, especially for those rolling showers. Absolutely. Cindi, did you say, how many did you say you thought there were accessible rooms?
Not that many with the roll-in shower. I was looking at Beach Club because I just booked it, and touring plan says there's 5, but I don't know that there's that many. I think some of them, I think they get combined with the 2-bedroom. So
And
yeah.
I was looking at Bay Lake, and there's 4.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I know we've stayed in 2 of them. I think 2 of them because we were there for our honeymoon, which was amazing. We've got that Magic Kingdom view. It was amazing. But yeah, there's not that many. We always book exactly. I'm on the line at 11 months or 7 months.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong. Like for our community, the only DVC resort that doesn't have elevators in all of the buildings would be at Old Key West.
That is correct.
Correct.
So Old Key West is the only one that you kind of have to watch out for as far as DVC. On the cash side, if you were to stay at Caribbean Beach, that one does not have elevators. So,
neither does Coronado.
There you go.
That's right. Yeah.
So, and at Old Key West, people, there is one building with an elevator. One building out of all of those buildings at Old Key West. So
the good news with Old Key West is that if you request a ground floor, I mean, you got a decent chance because, you know, if that's your only request, if that's the only thing that you're after, I think usually they're able to accommodate pretty well about that. You're like, that's got 3 floors so you're looking at 1/3 chance, more or less.
And when they do book you in a second floor and you've only requested the ground floor, if you're very kind and you ask with lots of patience in your voice, and you talk to Rodney, who's the really great guy there at Old Key West, and you say, Rodney, I can't carry the scooter up all those stairs. And he goes, no, you can't. And then he finds you a room on the ground floor. So, and saved our trip, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful. So, and as Sheena says, Rodney is the best, and I agree. Rodney is the best. So, hey, transportation at Disney World. How does everybody make that work for your family? Derrick and Amy, how do you guys make it work?
Our biggest issue is since we travel with 2 scooters, that's the most that can ever travel on a bus.
Mm-hmm.
So we always, when we're going to the parks in the morning, because we're usually rope dropping, we make sure we leave plenty of time to make sure that, or if we're not rope dropping, we need to make sure we can catch 2 buses if we need to, because for any kind of dining reservation or anything like that. But if you're going to go first thing in the morning, make sure you go to the first bus stop in the resort. So, and for some, that's 1 bus stop. For some, like if you're at Saratoga, we went and found the first bus stop that the bus stopped at. It's a good thing we did, because once you have those 2 scooter spots filled up, there's nothing else you can do. I do know that if you can't get on a bus due to scooter capacity and miss your dining reservation, if you let them know what's going on, they are very flexible. Basically, whenever you can get shown up, we will get you in to eat. We had that happen at Be Our Guest for lunch on one of those summer days that was, oh my gosh, busy.
Yeah.
So, and I will say the other nice part is that if you're going at the end of the day and you have a scooter, you're the first ones let on the bus. So as long as there's only 2 scooters, you're pretty much guaranteed to get on that first bus, which is nice.
It is nice. Yeah.
I would just add that as far as driving the scooter on the bus, it's not too bad once you get used to it. My mother-in-law always has the bus driver do it for her, and they are very, very good about it. So she just says, here, you drive, and they just drive her on. So it works really well. So yeah, with the buses, we have not had any issues other than maybe having to wait for a second bus.
Have you ever tried to take any other resort transportation?
Yeah, we've monorailed. Monorail, there's no issues because they can just keep throwing you in more cars.
Yeah.
So that's not an
We
issue.
haven't done this Skyliner yet, but I heard that it's just as easy as the monorail. So.
And then on the boats, we did some of the boats at Epcot, the friendship boats.
Okay.
And no issues there. They roll you right on. And again, that's one of those, they only have room for a couple because of, and if possible, you have to get off they want you off of your scooter while the boat's in motion.
Onto a regular seat. Yeah.
Cool.
So
my friend Cindi, tell me about your experiences with transportation at Disney.
So for the buses, we've done something similar where when we were at Saratoga, we didn't go to the first bus stop, but we did scoot down to the one that's sooner, because if we see that there's an ECV on there, we're like, oh, okay, well, not necessarily getting on that one. So that helps. There was one time too, my husband can he has a collapsible chair, so he can transfer. So that was another way where we were able to get on the buses. So we've done, since we own at Riviera, so we've done the Skyliner several times, and that's been interesting to see as it kind of evolves through time, because at first he went on front ways in, and then he realized, oh, let me go in back ways so I can see. And so he's not looking out the one side and facing away from me because I get in after him. And then they told him, no, you can't do that for legal reasons or for escape reasons. That was after the Skyliner went down. You have to go in frontwise. And then the next time around, they told us, well, it's okay, because we kept talking to him. So it's been an interesting evolution, but once he got used to it, the Skyliner is great, and he'll usually hop out and sit beside me, and we have our own cabin on the Skyliner. For the boats, that can be an issue. Only you have to know which which places at the Magic Kingdom have the little boats. And so I think Wilderness Lodge and sometimes has a little boat. And so the first time we went, he just transferred in, but that can be difficult because he had to also lift his chair in after and get it in. So it's much easier with a friendship boat than those little boats. So Wilderness Lodge and I think the Grand Floridian are the ones that have those little boats. So if you have a dining reservation and you want to go from Magic Kingdom over to the Grand or over to the other one, you have to be real careful and leave enough time.
That's good advice. And I think those little boats also go to the Polynesian from Magic Kingdom, because they'll go Grand Flo, Poly back. So those little cutie boats don't take wheelchairs and ECVs.
Yeah, ECV, there's no way.
All right.
You're
good information to know. Hey, Caleb, tell us about transportation with your family.
Yeah, so we have our transportation, like we love using the Skyliner, because like I said, our stroller is tagged as a medical device, and so we're able to kind of access the same kind of accommodations as the ECVs and the other wheelchairs. It's his little safe haven, and whenever things are just kind of going awry. And so a big shout out to Sally, our bus driver that took us from Copper Creek to Epcot. Like, we had no idea. We had been tagging his for like 2-3 years. We had been tagging his wheelchair or his stroller as a wheelchair to be able to go through the queues and be able to do other things. But we always, whenever we came up to a bus, we were folding up the stroller and we were getting on. And what would happen was that he would just be so overstimulated and not have that safe space that, I mean, literally we would be getting hit, we would be getting bit and, punched, and it was not a good experience for anybody. And one time we kind of rolled up, we were like a little bit later, and Sally saw that we had our red tag on our stroller, and she said, "Stay right there." And she dropped down, and I was like, "Wait, I can do this." And so now we know that we can just stay in the place where the scooters are, and we're able to wheel back on, right on, and he's able to transfer almost with no issues. And then also he's contained. So even whenever he's having any kind of episode, that he's contained in his stroller, and we're able to try to kind of soothe him without getting beat up ourselves, more or less. So like I'm telling you, whenever Sally did that, it was like, like tears were strolling down our eyes, and we were like, we had no idea at this. And the whole time we were driving, she was looking back in the mirror and she was telling him, "Hey, I'm going to do a right turn," and like letting him know like everything that was happening. She was just incredibly great. But we've also had some times that we've had ECVs ourselves. Back last year, we both like hurt our feet like right before I had an ankle sprain, and my wife had something going on like right before. I tried to like power through it with the little knee scooter, and going down those cobble streets at Main Street was not fun at all. I had really hard wheels, so I ended up renting a ECV for that trip as well. And yeah, getting on the Skyliner is nice and easy. If you have an ECV, if you are at the hubs, not at Riviera, they have their own little separate station. And so then it's not moving, and you just wheel right into the Skyliner, and then it works you in. Now at Riviera, they'll kind of like slow it down a little bit for you to kind of wheel in, and then sometimes they'll even stop it for you to get on. But yeah, the boats, I believe that it's almost like during heavy times, it'll be every other boat that you'll have a little boat, and then you'll have a big boat, and a little boat, and a big boat. And so if you catch the wrong boat, well, then you either got to wait or, figure out, obviously with the scooter, it's not going to work, but, figure out, okay, is it worth it for me to fold up my stroller? What's going to happen with that? But
So Caleb, do they strap down the wheel?
yes.
They do. Okay.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, like when I went with my mother-in-law, or when we had our own scooters, it was exactly the same, that they bring the seatbelt over like they normally do. And it doesn't actually physically touch him, but it goes over the stroller. And then they lock it in the wheels, on the front, on the back, like everything is exactly the same. Like we get on first, we get off last. All of those things are exactly the same.
Yeah, actually, that reminds me of something else. My husband, because it says his own wheelchair. If you are going with your own wheelchair, you might want to look for places where they can attach for the front,
Yeah.
because he has the front where his feet rests are. That's removable. And so it wouldn't do any good to attach the little thing to that. It'll bend his wheelchair and stuff. So when you're getting on the bus, it's good to tell the driver where to connect those things.
Absolutely. And
And I will
I'm gonna. Oh,
I will say I just thought of it. I do have experience with a minivan and a scooter.
that's what I was gonna say.
It's so this was early in my Disney traveling experience. I didn't know that I couldn't go from Disney Springs to a park. And so we were at Disney Springs, and I was like, hey, we need to get back to Magic Kingdom. And my mother-in-law was there, and she had an ACV. And so we ended up having to call a minivan. And, everything was just like you would probably see on any other kind of large van, that they had a lift on the back. They dropped it down. She wheeled it in. They lifted it up. She wheeled it the rest of the way, strapped it down, and then that was that.
They
Did
used
you
the
have-
same thing for our VIP tour last year with
Yes.
my ECV. Yeah.
I would say, did you have to let them know when you booked the minivan that you had the ECV?
Yes.
Okay.
It was an option under it was under the Lyft app that you, if I remember right, this was like 7 years ago. Like, I mean, the minivans were fairly new at that time. And so when we booked it was an option there.
That's fantastic. Great information, everybody. Anybody in our community have anything to add? Let's look and see. Evelyn says they find it easier to drive, but this trip they will take the boat to Magic Kingdom. And those big ferry boats are no problem at all. We're just talking about those little skiffs that kind of run like 14 people across the lake. Those we can't do the different kinds of those transports. Eric, transportation has always been great except for one occasion. I had a relative playing basketball at the ESPN sports complex. Getting from the boardwalk to ESPN was a nightmare.
Because that's you can't get there from here.
Yeah, that's exactly. We had that experience when Sarah was cheerleading. And we had to be at ESPN several days. And fortunately, my friend Beth had driven, and I didn't really need a scooter because we weren't doing a lot of walking because we were just going into ESPN and watching and coming out. So I didn't have one that trip. And so it worked out. But I can't imagine. My guess is if you needed to do that now, your best option would be a minivan if you wanted to use Disney transportation. I think a minivan would pick you up and take you.
Yeah. For the run events, because I've done a lot of the run events, I've if you let them know, they will take you over. That's because they have transportation set up for the run events.
And I will say, I was supposed to run a half marathon, and a week before, I went to a trampoline park. And someone who has chronically sprained ankles shouldn't do that. So I was on an ECV while my son was still running over there. But since it was set up for the races, so since they had the Disney buses, it wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
So. Because usually they'll have buses running to the expos or buses running to the different races. Well, when the expo is always at ESPN. Yeah. So now if it's a run a Disney event weekend, you can get a bus over to the expos and they'll just treat it like a normal ECV.
Right. The buses I've gotten on are usually a chartered bus going over to the expo.
Okay.
And that's all they use for, like student activities like cheerleading and that, because it's usually those buses are actually paid for by, for example, when it's cheerleading, by Varsity Cheer. Gotcha. Is the company throwing the event. They're the ones that pay for those buses to ESPN.
I did hear a lot of people complaining during COVID, when they had so few Disney buses running, that a charter bus would be filling in, and then they would be waiting for 2 or 3 or 4 buses before an actual Disney bus could pick them up, because those charter buses are not accessible.
Right. Yep. All right, everybody, let's go talk about our favorite place, the parks. How do the parks rank in accommodating for your family's needs? Derrick and Amy.
In order, I would probably put Magic Kingdom is probably the worst, mainly because it is the oldest. It is the one that opens in 1971. ADA does not come around until 1990. Some of the biggest things to understand is that in a lot of the queues, they will not let you take an ECV. You have to transfer into one of their push wheelchairs, which we all know how well those get taken care of. As a matter of fact, that we were there for spring break this last year, and my mother, we were going on Big Thunder Mountain. Well, Big Thunder, you get a return time. You go in through the exit. You ride in the back car because it's a little wider. Well, we were getting out, and the Disney wheelchair was not in the greatest shape. And you may not notice, but when you go out and then start to go up, there's a lip there. Catches the lip.
Dumper.
No, didn't almost dump her. Completely dumped her. Hit her head. Yeah, and
I hope you got a Mickey bar out of that.
no, because she didn't think it was as bad as it was. And honestly, we probably should have had her taken somewhere and looked at.
Wow.
But I will say, when we went back 2 days later, they had all brand new wheelchairs at Big Thunder Mountain. So, Haunted Mansion's weird because I've been 3 different ways. You can either go in through the exit, you go in through the normal line, or there's a third door that you go in about halfway, like right past the hearse.
Yeah.
And a lot of it depends on if you want to do the stretch room or not. Jungle Cruise is great because they actually have a boat that you can stay in your wheelchair.
Oh, she loved that. Yeah. Derrick's mom we had to wait a little bit extra for it because there was like 3 or 4 people in line for it because there's only one boat. So it has to come around the whole way every time. But they just wheeled her right on. They locked her in. It's like an elevator and it comes on down. And she just loved being able to stay in the scooter for that. So we're definitely doing that again.
Small World's a return time. You go in through the exit. There is a handicap boat, so you can roll on. They don't like ECVs on there, so it has to be a push wheelchair. People Mover completely sucks because you have to get out and go up the ramp and then climb into the thing. And when the ramp's not working, it's not an option. I will say Magic Kingdom fireworks seating, if you can get there early enough, fireworks seating is one of the grass areas in the hub, and it is wonderful.
It's fantastic.
Your whole party can go in. You can get it so there's not people standing right in front of you because there's a garden area in front of it. Opens about an hour to hour and a half ahead of the fireworks, but party can come and go limited. It's a great place to go if you get there early enough. It will fill up. But it's on the left side, kind of by the entrance of Crystal Palace. Epcot's not as bad. Big one there is Spaceship Earth. You have to go in through the back, and then check in with the cast member, and then get called, and you still have to figure out a way to get up to the turntable for Spaceship Earth. You can push a wheelchair up there, but there are no wheelchair time vehicles or whatever they call them. Hollywood Studios isn't bad. Star Tours, you get a return time and come back through the Lightning Lane. Rock and Roller Coaster, again, we've been told 2 different things. Either you stay in line just like normal, or you get a return time and go in through the Lightning Lane. You do get to ride in the front car for that one because it's got the wider entry. And so many of these rides, you're either in the front or the back because the doors are actually a little bit wider.
I've come in on Rock and Roller Coaster. I've come in through the exit before.
Really?
Yeah, through the exit, and it's that little chicken exit.
Yeah,
I've come in through there.
Yeah, we weren't ever given that option. So, Hollywood. And then Animal Kingdom, the big one on that is the safari kind of stinks because you have to wait in line. Then you have to go to this separate loading platform. And it's like they only have one Jeep that is going around that they divert off to that platform. So it can definitely be longer than the normal ride there. So that's kind of our ranking as far as how the different parks are for our family anyway.
Okay. Cindi?
Yeah, so it's interesting to hear different things, but yeah, we always, so my husband is permanently in the chair, so he can get out. Sometimes he can transfer fine, but getting in and out, like Space Mountain, is the worst. I've heard that from a lot of people.
My mom won't do Space Mountain anymore.
Yeah, it's rough. We have a friend who was in an ECV, and it was just hard to push her through. My husband can get through the line okay. And figuring out what you're supposed to do where, especially at Magic Kingdom, is a pain. Sorry.
Yeah, we learned just to ask the cast member at the front of the line, just every time.
Yeah. Yeah. And the first time we went, in 2015, we went on to Peter Pan. The guy at front was busy talking to people, and so we went merrily on our way. This was the first time he and I had been there, and we got up to the thing, and the guy said, "Okay, well, can you get out and walk?" We're like, "What are you talking about?" And I started crying because we had been in line for 45 minutes or something stupid, and you had to walk, and I had no idea. And so we got one of the golden ticket things, and we were able to go on something else. But I just, people,
Yeah, that would be one you couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, Peter Pan, Tom Sawyer, People Mover, you're just SOL. So the more you know, it helps, but it's hard to ferret out those details.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So knowing the which ones are ambulatory required for those in a wheelchair. Now, what is good, Seven Dwarves has always been great. They've been really supportive. And Derrick, you talked about the wider seats, but what we saw is that there's a door that swings open, so that way he doesn't have to climb up and over. It's easier to just transfer over from the chair to get in.
Okay.
And so I know they have that on Rock and Roller Coaster, because we're always in that. I think it's the second one, it seems like, but it's right in the front. So yeah, we're always seated on the same place on the rides. Yeah, and then some of the bathrooms, Animal Kingdom, don't use the one by the safari. It's it's just not, the water level's too high. It doesn't work.
Oh.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Fun little crazy stupid things. Yeah, I think, and then as far as Epcot goes, about the same, because we have to go through the back for Spaceship Earth, and what Spaceship Earth has told us is that they can only have so many people in a chair at the same time. So if they have to evacuate, sometimes we've had to wait for people to get off.
That makes a whole lot of sense.
Well, and that little door at Spaceship Earth too, on the side of the building where you're going into the exit, it's like this little hidden door that they send you. They go, "There's a door up there." And I'm like, but then you get there, and if you don't have somebody with you who can open that door and hold it open.
Is it not an electronic door?
Not an electronic door.
Oh, then go to the other side. The other side one is.
Yeah.
If it's open.
Right.
Construction, it hasn't been open either.
Oh, yeah.
So it kind of made me giggle how that, I was like, you want me to do what? Go to what door where? So I totally see that. Yeah. So Caleb, how do the parks work for your family?
Yeah, so like I said, our disability is not about mobility. So a lot of times we're just trying to find a place that is a little less stimulating for my little guy. And so sometimes that can be very, very difficult. And so Magic Kingdom is by far the worst. Like it's the most magical place ever, but there's lots of going on, loud music, lots of lights. And so that can be a little overstimulating for a lot of people. So some of the places that we have found has been like down by the water, right past the exit of Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. It used to be a smoking area. And so it's just like this nice little, like they've got rocking chairs out there, and you could just like, he sits there and he like throws little pieces of grass in the water, and there's not speakers that are right there. You can still hear stuff, but it's just not as overbearing. And so it's nice. And, he likes the ferry boat will come by, and that's nice and slow paced and not over, not lots and lots of bright colors. It's just basically white. And so it's usually pretty good for him. But then we also have like Adventureland at night, like all the lights are really, really dim. And so that's a nice place. As long as you're not near the Magic Carpets area, that's going crazy and nuts. But we kind of like that area as well. Now, Epcot, there's lots of little nooks and crannies all over World Showcase that you can kind of go to. And I wouldn't be able to like say this is the one, but it's like it seems like almost in every country except for maybe Norway. Well, I take that back. In Norway, the little museum that's like the
church.
Loki, the church museum that has like about Loki and Thor. Like you go in there, it's just like almost silent in there, and so it's really nice to kind of go in there. But for the most part, there's a little place everywhere that we can go and World Showcase, and then now Animal Kingdom, again, similar to World Showcase, that we're able to find just like lots and lots of little places that are kind of like low key, and that are nice and quiet for him. Hollywood Studios is a little bit of a challenge as well, but there's still a good amount of places. The Pixar place, whenever if they don't have like a character greeting over there, we can go into that little area. The cave that leads right into like near the Muppets that leads over to Rise of the
Star Wars
Resistance.
Land.
There's a good amount of sound there, but we've got headphones and he tolerates his headphones pretty well. But it's dark, it is cool in that area. It's a good place for a nap. And so that's kind of like a nice place that we can kind of take him. So that's kind of like our key areas. Now, at the resorts, I've never personally used them, but I have heard that they have kind of like a quiet room that's available, that if you are at a resort, if you're out at dining and you have somebody that's kind of having a meltdown, a child or something, that they have little rooms, and sometimes they're being used also as like nursing areas as well. So it kind of just depends on what's happening, but it is something that I've read about in their accommodations that they have. Like I said, I've never personally used them, but it's something that's out there.
Caleb, one tip for Magic Kingdom: upstairs at Columbia Harbor House
Yes.
is usually pretty quiet, and so is Tomorrowland Terrace if it's open.
The only problem with the upstairs area is that there's no elevator. And so getting his stroller, if he's having kind of an issue, or is there, and I just don't know
There is an
about it?
elevator.
Oh,
Yeah.
Really?
There's an elevator by the entrance to over by the entrance to where it's over to the Fantasyland entrance. On that wall there's an elevator upstairs.
oh, well, very well.
Ooh.
Learning
Yeah.
information
Not
right
just
here
at,
on the
yeah.
DVC Community Hall.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Well, let's see what people in our community have to say. Steve says Disneyland and DCA, which is the first peeps we've had about Disneyland and DCA tonight, were great. When we were there with my dad in a scooter once, we knew about using the exit on certain attractions. DCA was better than Disneyland, and we learned to just talk to the cast members, and they were always helpful. Yeah. And I think that's part of the key, is trying to talk to cast members as best you can. Although that is sometimes an uncomfortable thing too, though. Sometimes you just want to be able to be there and be with your family and not have to say, excuse me, I need, so I think an accommodations guide that would be, really specific in details of where, because they have it in policy somewhere, Granted, it sounds like sometimes cast members make up the policies as they go, right? But there's probably somewhere an official, this is what you are supposed to do type of thing. And that really just needs to be published, I think, better. Evelyn says, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway stinks. Not enough to bend your knees. Not wide enough to bend your legs. Oh, that's interesting. And the seat they give to transfer is ridiculous.
Okay. What is with Disney putting individual lap bars in?
Yeah.
For those of us with bigger legs, why in the world is Disney putting individual lap bars in? Put the 2-person lap bar in. So, because like Mickey and Minnie, 7 Dwarves, I think Ratatouille has individual lap bars.
Or the molded seats, the seat that is got like, it's molded with a butt spot, which is fine if you can stand up and sit down in it. But if you're transferring them from a wheelchair, you're sliding into that seat or barely lifting yourself. And if you have to go over a hump to get it, that's just silly, right?
Yeah. On Mickey Runaway Railway and Ratatouille, they have these areas off to the side where you go and load. So we've done that on both of those. And they kind of, it's so interesting because they're, the cars are all dancing around and you wait for the space and then it takes off and goes and fills in. And on Ratatouille, you go to the end and then you just stay and wait there while everyone else gets off. And then they take you back to your special area. But yeah, again, that's something I forgot to mention was the wheelchair. So on Ratatouille, he stayed in his chair. I think he's actually done both. Mickey and Minnie Runaway, I think he got out. So generally he transfers, but they don't always bring you the chair. So a lot of times, so if he's on this side and the exit to the door is over here, we just sit there and go, hey. Or if I'm by the door, sometimes I'll get out and I'll just go run and get the wheelchair because the cast members just don't always remember. I mean, there's a lot of people coming through and
Sure.
And I would say even for their own wheelchairs, I've never had a cast member bring one to us. I've always had to go get it.
Wow.
Yeah. So here's a question, Cindi, for you. Flight of Passage. Because Tron is coming out soon. Now, I understand that Tron has special spots that are different.
Yeah.
But Flight of Passage, when you have to transfer onto that bike thing.
Oh, I had Soarin' in my head. Yeah,
well,
so that one...
Soarin' would be a similar type of issue, probably.
We're used to it. Yeah, Soarin' we did on our wedding, so I'm like, Soarin'. But so Flight of Passage is fine. We're used to it. He's able to just load from the back and climb onto it.
Okay.
But Tron is going to be different. We happened to be there a weekend when they had the vehicles out.
Oh.
And so he was able to do it, but he had to get up and straddle it. You couldn't just load from the back like you can on Flight of Passage. So he was able to get in it, but it's awkward. Now, what I've seen also is that on Tron, there is one car that has, instead of being on a motorcycle, it's like a sidekick thing, whatever. And so I guess I don't know if it's a chair. I guess you must have to transfer. They're not going to take wheelchairs on there. So
talk about strapping down a wheelchair to ride a roller coaster.
Yeah.
The bus is one thing, but a roller coaster
is this thing removable?
Yeah, pull up on that yellow strap, man, because we're going for a ride. Oh, well, guys, thanks so much for sharing with our community tonight. It has been super helpful to kind of deep dive into some of these questions and you know what? Just because you've never used it before, you don't know when you're going to fall down your stairs and break your ankle 29 days before your trip, which is one day into the cancel it window. And that introduced us to a scooter. And there have been multiple trips that I have used because, like Amy, I'm like, I can't do the walking for 10 days. And we often go for a lot of days. So, but yeah, it's been a helpful conversation. And about things that I didn't even realize were issues, and also about things that it's great to hear that Disney does this well, that, it's a place where we really can go with our families. And, we hear about certain things, but we never really hear all the details. So thank you to everybody for sharing with us tonight. I appreciate it. So, and we will see everybody next week. Come back, watch next week. I heard a rumor that our fearless leader, Chad Pennycuff, is leading the show next Sunday night. Topic to be announced. I think I know what he's doing, but topic to be announced. So anyway, thank you so much. And thank you once again to DVC Resale Market for enabling all of us to go to Disney over and over again. We appreciate it, and we appreciate you sponsoring our show tonight. Have a great night, everybody. Goodbye.
Hi, guys.
Bye, everybody.